half in the bag. I don't even know what's wrong with my face.
Well, that was certainly a movie. What was that called again? The Hateful Eight?
Yeah, it's Quentin Tarantino's new movie.
This was a Quentin Tarantino film? Wow, I'm shocked. It had almost none of his hallmarks. Jeez, you could have told me it was a Woody Allen film or a Gus Van Sant film, and I wouldn't have known the difference.
Are you being sarcastic?
What does that word even mean? Hey Jay, you know, our situation here in the house is very similar to the characters in The Hateful Eight. You know how they're trapped in a cabin in the middle of a blizzard?
Oh, you mean A Living Nightmare?
No, A Living Nightmare was something else. A different film I saw called The Ridiculous Six, starring Adam Sandler.
Got room for one more?
The Hateful Eight is the 8th film from Quentin Tarantino. Do you think he intentionally had his 8th film have the word 8 in the title? The idea seems so masturbatory that it probably was done on purpose. The film takes place just after the Civil War when a bunch of different people get holed up in a cabin during a snowstorm. Because this is a Tarantino movie, we know that they are all exactly who they say they are, and they'll get along just fine.
Jay, what did you think of The Hateful Eight?
This thing has a centerfold.
I know, I've always wanted a centerfold of Tim Roth.
Yeah, I loved it. It was everything I wanted it to be. No, I like the movie a lot. We should point out we did see it in 70mm. If you can see it that way, do so. I actually saw it twice, and it was an interesting experience because the first time I saw it, it was actually absolutely perfect as far as the presentation goes. The picture looked great, sound was great, and then the second time, which is when I saw it with you, there was a couple slight things off. I noticed, like the alignment was wrong, so you could see when it would cut to a different shot, you could see that new shot at the very bottom of the frame, like a frame before it would cut to it, so that was distracting. It was just a hair out of focus, so that was distracting, and the sound was off by like 2-3 frames. So that was distracting. So the first time I saw it, absolutely perfect, and I loved the movie, and I loved the way it was executed and the way it was presented in 70mm. And so it's interesting to see now, like just a couple little things, how they can be off will affect like the entire experience of watching the movie.
I was not, well, first of all, yeah, the 70mm Roadshow, go see it if you can. You get this wonderful booklet. And
it's a whole experience. There's an overture, there's a intermission. It's great.
Yeah, and
you can hear that projector thumping in the back.
You can, but you better not have a sloppy projectionist who it seemed like they didn't care. It's like, this is your only theater.
That's the whole reason we're doing this, is the presentation of the 70mm.
I was disappointed in my Roadshow experience, Mr. Tarantino. I applaud your efforts wholeheartedly to shoot this film on 70mm. I wanted this on the fucking IMAX screen. Do you know a 35mm film negative has up to 6K resolution? So there's a whole lot of resolution and what I would imagine a 70mm film print would be much higher than that.
Yes.
And then so we watched it and we were sort of in a regular theater. Yeah. And the screen was this size, so it had extra space on the top, and it was like this massive image in this wide format, almost just like watching a feature film on your 16:9 TV. And I was like,
I think that's going to depend on the theater. I'm sure there's some definitely. Other theaters that are showing it in a larger screen. IMAX screen for some, I'm sure. This is just what we had.
Yeah, well, exactly. Make sure you see it in IMAX because the resolution on this and the image quality is probably pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And it felt like, why am I watching this on film? Like, what is the point? One, it's not properly focused. And two, it's not really on a big screen. I don't mean to be like a naysayer or a Debbie Downer, but I was just like, it looks good. It looks like a movie.
Well, I don't have that romanticized idea of film that Tarantino seems to have. I mean, he's very like, I'm always going to shoot on film, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I wanted to see this on film because that's how he intended it to be seen. I'm fine with digital projection. I'm fine with shooting digitally. You have people doing wonderful things with it. All the way up from David Fincher down to a movie that came out last year called Tangerine, which was shot on a fucking iPhone. And it's like one of the best movies of the year. So that I don't have that sort of romanticized idea. I would have to see a digital presentation of this movie to really compare them. But the first time I saw it, especially the second time with you, things were slightly off. But the first time I saw it, it was just like, I don't know, that picture looks so rich. Like you can tell the difference. And the first time I saw it, it was like flawless presentation. I would have liked to have seen it on a bigger screen, but the fact that I got to see it on film at all is, I'm very happy about that.
Yeah. Well, issue number 2 with shooting in the 70mm format was the subject matter. It reminded me of what's the Paul Thomas Anderson movie?
The Master?
The Master.
That was 70mm, yeah.
With the exception of a couple of shots on a beach, The Master takes place primarily in a church basement. And then with this, it's like, all right, 94% of the movie's in a cabin. And the
95%.
95, the rest of it is in snow.
Yes. Do you have a problem with the snow stuff? All those landscape shots were gorgeous.
There were a couple, they were sort of like mediocre landscape shots. They were just like, oh yeah, here it is. It wasn't like, the visuals weren't that striking or that above average even. It was like everything in it was average. I would have rather seen Django or fucking Kill Bill, where it's like there's all this shit going on, those fight scenes, the colors.
More variety to the visuals.
More variety to the visuals, and if you're like, snowy landscapes are okay, but I want to see like a road movie where people go across country and they're, we're here, we're doing this and all these things. Except the whole movie's in a cabin.
Yes. See, I like that contrast, though. I like that because the movie is so intimate that you're seeing it, on this huge format, widescreen format, so you really get a sense of the landscape of that cabin. And I think it's probably Tarantino's strongest movie visually, as far as like taking something like that where it's all in one location and keeping it interesting, with the shots, the camera movements. There's lots of split focus diopter shots, all that stuff. It almost feels like more of a challenge to try and make something like this cinematic.
This here is Daisy Domergue. She's wanted dead or alive for murder. When that sun comes out, I'm taking this woman to hang. Is there anybody here committed to stopping me from doing that?
The movie's 3 hours long. It did not feel that length at all to me. In fact, I knew that the intermission was supposed to come about 2 hours into the movie. When the intermission title came up, I was shocked that 2 hours had already passed. I was completely immersed in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who said this movie's boring. It's not. I can see the lack of locations boring people, but to me, I was drawn in. You always are with his dialogue and the way, the tension. Yeah. There's always this like really palpable, thick tension in the air. Even if you always know something's gonna happen and you don't know what.
Well, especially with this movie where there's no nice characters, or there's nobody that is even close to being what you would call a good guy. Like there rarely are in his movies, but in this one, they're all horrible people. And you're just waiting for something to happen. And I don't know if this is different with the 70mm showing of it than a digital projection of it, but the sound too, especially adds to that tension. And that's one of the things I really liked about the movie too, is set in that cabin and it's during a blizzard, that constant wind noise. We talked about that with Krampus too.
Oh yeah.
That really like adds to just like you're just waiting for something bad to happen.
Krampus had better sound design in my opinion. Krampus needs to get an Oscar for that fucking sound design.
It won't because it's Krampus, but I agree that it should get some sort of recognition.
The sound in Krampus was excellent. It was phenomenal. I didn't really like, oh wow, yeah, that's great, but okay. Well, the film's about two bounty hunters, Samuel L. Jackson, a former Union officer, gone into the bounty hunter business, and Kurt Russell, who's known as the Hangman, because he always takes in his his bounties alive.
Yes, wanted dead or alive, but he always takes them in alive.
Yes, because he wants the hangman to get his work
Yes.
or whatever. Samuel L. Jackson thinks it's easier to shoot him because then you don't have to sleep with one eye open.
Right.
And then
And his bounty is played by Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Jennifer Jason
It is
Leigh.
my favorite part of the movie.
Yes.
I loved her in this.
And like you said, you feel bad for her at first, and then she turns out to be a horrible monster. Everyone turns out to be a horrible monster in some way. Right?
Yes,
These are
yes.
not likable characters, but
Your empathy is constantly shifting, even though none of them are good people, but there are moments where you kind of understand them, but then they do something awful that shifts your focus to somebody else.
you mainly relate to Samuel L. Jackson and Kurt Russell. Mainly Kurt Russell. Well,
But then he elbows Jennifer Jason Leigh in the face.
he's beaten on her pretty bad. But
And Sam Jackson talks about how he just loves murdering white people.
Yeah.
Like,
okay, scratch that. There's no character that's likable in this film. Although you root for Sam Jackson at the end,
sure,
more or less.
kind of.
Kind of. The premise is they stop at Minnie's haberdashery, sort of like a old-timey hotel.
Yes.
And a blizzard's coming, and then they meet some unsavory characters there. There's, it's suspected that they're there to save Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Yeah.
Rescue
Now,
her.
one of them is in cahoots with her.
Cahoots, and there's a plot. And then I think at this point we'll say spoilers because I was already going to slip which major character dies early in the film. So we're going to say spoilers from here on out if you plan to see The Hateful Eight. Bam! You've been warned. Trigger warning. Trigger warning. There's lots of guns. That's what I mean by
Oh,
trigger
that's the
warning.
triggers of the guns,
There's
yeah.
a warning. There's lots of people pulling triggers in this movie. So, now that we've said spoilers, they show up at Minnie's haberdashery. And can I say this? The very first thing I noticed, what's his face? The old man, Bruce Dern.
Bruce Dern.
Bruce
Good old
Dern
Bruce
sitting in
Dern.
the chair, and there's a chessboard out. And then the chair next to him is empty. So you're like, who's he playing chess with?
Yeah.
But then I noticed the chessboard. And then I was like, okay, for some reason it stuck out in my brain. And then later on, the film progresses. And basically it's a stage production in a cabin. And all these characters are there, and Samuel L. Jackson and Kurt Russell are trying to figure out who everybody is, and everyone's interacting. And then we find out Bruce Dern is a former Confederate general.
Yes.
And of course, Samuel L. Jackson fought on the Union side, and so it's like, we discover that he may have killed his son. There's a bounty, and there's all these things going on, and then this is where the movie took a turn for me, and this is where I started to not like the movie.
Okay.
Let me explain.
Are you talking about Sam Jackson's reveal to Bruce Dern here? Or?
Sam Jackson, they're having dinner, and then Sam Jackson goes over and gets a bowl of stew and brings it over to Bruce Dern. And he's like, here. And then Walton Goggins stands up, and he's like, because he's like a Southern guy.
Yeah.
And he has respect for the general, and they had this whole scene earlier on. There's a lot going on, but let me get to my point. He stands up, and Samuel L. Jackson's like, and then so he starts conversing with the general.
Yeah.
And then I thought, this whole movie is an intricate chess game. Because I thought of the general as like the king.
Yeah.
And I thought of all the different people in the film as chess pieces. And when Samuel L. Jackson goes over with the bowl, and it's like, oh, he's gonna get on his side. And then it's like he's doing a chess move, and there's something going on here, and then he shoots him. And then
Well,
it
he
goes to the
doesn't just
intermission,
shoot him.
and then it's like everyone's like, here comes all the gore and blood. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, everyone has to kill each other.
It's not just that he shoots him, though.
There's more to it. Yes,
Yeah.
he goads him into shooting him, but there's some depth and weight to what's happening.
He uses his knowledge of Bruce Dern's character to.
I get that.
Yeah.
And he taunts him by saying, I killed your son, and I made your son do some pretty awful things that you will need to see the movie to.
I guess we're at spoilers. Does it matter if we talk about?
You don't have to spoil details.
Okay.
But anyway, my point being, the first 2 hours of the movie I absolutely loved. And then the intermission happens. And then after that, everyone in the theater, I heard someone say, now it's time to get to the good stuff.
No.
And it's like, okay, and then it's still really good, but to me it was a little disappointing because he takes 2 hours to set up all these characters and all their motivations, and it just turns out to be exactly what we were led to believe, that they're all in cahoots to save Jennifer Jason Leigh, and really it just kind of becomes like, this person shoots this person, that person shoots that person, everyone is horrible, and everyone dies. And then it's like, okay, I enjoyed the part where the guy gets his head blown off.
Because how could you not?
Yeah, but at a certain point I was like, oh, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
This is brilliant. All these characters all have their own motivations and angles, and it's going to be this really intricately written chess game. But then it just turns into everyone shoots each other.
See, I think it's a little more than, because it really, as in that second half, that's when you kind of learn that Walton Goggins and Sam Jackson are, for lack of a better term, the heroes. Walton Goggins has one of the best roles in this movie.
I really liked him.
Because he does he goes through some changes as the movie goes along, and I guess he's probably the closest to having an arc. But I agree that it's unfortunate that it turns out it's exactly what you thought it was going to be. My problem is not with that in concept, it's a little bit with the execution, because Tarantino's known for kind of doing these non-linear, stories. And when we get to this flashback sequence where we see how those characters got to where they are, that's the one sequence in the movie where I'm like, well, we know how this is going to turn out. So why are we spending so much time on it? It's where that comes in the movie.
Oh, sure.
That's the only issue I had with it. It's not so much that what is revealed, it's just how it's revealed.
It's shocking when John Travolta gets shot. Oh, you're like, oh, he's dead? And then it's like, I don't want to complain about Quentin Tarantino indulging in violence, but I'm going to.
It for me works similar to Django Unchained, where it's not that the movie is building up to that, or that's the point of the movie, so much it is the cherry on top. The first 2 hours is the meat of the movie, and then all that last stuff is just sort of the fun payoff.
If you consider the payoff to be fun.
Why the need for so much gruesome, graphic violence? Why not let us imagine
Because it's so much fun, Jan. Get it?
People talk about Tarantino as being like this high art, like craftsman. I don't think he ever has been. He's a very, I dislike him as a person a lot. He's very obnoxious.
Well, you see how he reacted to that one guy that was filming him.
What are you doing? Can you not talk to me?
Just for the.
What are you doing?
He's like, fuck off. I can't imagine any producer, the Weinstein.
I think they give him free reign.
Yeah, they're just like, are you sure you want to shoot this on 70mm film? This is going to cost us a fucking fortune. Yeah, and so he loves his violence. He loves his N-word. That's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But he makes people horribly uncomfortable.
Well, it's my job to ask you why you think that.
And I'm
you're very
saying
influential.
no. And I'm shutting you down.
But you have a responsibility as a filmmaker, surely, to explain a little bit about
No,
what
I
you're
don't
doing.
have any responsibility to you to explain anything I don't want to.
It's that he makes really elevated schlock. He's like a great, brilliant craftsman of, like, he understands how to pace a scene. He understands how to get good performances, dialogue, all that stuff. But he also really loves comical, over-the-top gore.
Yes.
And I think some people don't know how to interpret that, where they think of it as like high art, but then he puts this, this over-the-top gore in it. It's the combination of those two that makes him unique.
The only film that came close to high art was probably Pulp Fiction, just because it just created a genre.
It was
material into such a new way of telling a story. But yeah, you're right. Like Tarantino, he loves the grindhouse, blaxploitation, pulp.
The difference between him and the people that made those is that he's a good filmmaker.
He's a good filmmaker and a good writer.
Yes.
And I would never tell him what to do. He can make whatever movies he wants, and to me, it's just, at this point, it's getting a little disappointing that each one ends in horrific violence. And God bless him. I'm not complaining about violence. It's like Inglourious Bastards. Like, there are some scenes in that movie, like, that are so good.
Yeah.
And so well written. And
well, the basement scene, the basement bar scene in that's basically this. That's this whole movie kind of stretched out, where it's like you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
And the scene where the SS officer comes to the house, and he knows that they're under the stairs or under the floorboards. It's so good. It's so well written. So much tension. And then it's like at the end of every one of his recent movies, it's just excessive violence and everyone dies.
Yeah.
And I just want him to I want him to take his writing and make a good, well-written, well-rounded movie that just doesn't end in like gore and blood and guts.
Yeah, I think I talked about this when we talked about Django. My favorite Tarantino movie is Jackie Brown. That's the one that felt like the most mature. It has slightly older characters. They're making smarter decisions. So he's maturing as a filmmaker, and that's why I like that movie so much, because it kind of is what you're talking about, which is his clever dialogue, the way he executes a scene without the excessive gore. This particular movie, the excessive gore worked for me because the whole movie just felt so macabre. Like by the end, I was thinking, it's like, when did this turn into a Tales from the Crypt episode? When they're like, so like with the tone of this movie, I liked that, as opposed to something like Django, which I liked a lot, but it almost felt like the excessive gore at the end of that was, like, it felt like the story was over and then that stuff happened, So I don't know. For me, it kind of depends on the movie.
Call him a genius, because he is, as far as filmmaking goes.
Sure.
Not a mathematical genius, maybe not engineering genius, but a filmmaking genius. I would put him in that category.
Oh yeah, effortlessly. That's the thing. Is like they always feel like. So you see some movies, like I look at like Christopher Nolan, and it feels like he's trying so hard to come across as like some grand filmmaker.
Yes.
And his movies are good, but Tarantino, it feels like he doesn't care, and he doesn't even have to try. Like he just shits out these great movies.
That's the definition of style, by the way. Is doing something good and making it look effortless.
Yeah.
And so
that's what he does.
I agree.
And there are some people that I know have said like this movie's too long, it's too self-indulgent, and I can understand where they're coming from to a certain extent.
Yeah.
To me, it's just like yes, there's a more concise way of telling this particular story, but that's not what he's trying to do. Like he's celebrating filmmaking, and he's celebrating performance and all these elements of movies, because like story is just a part of filmmaking.
Yeah, because really you could nitpick this story apart, kind of like the couple of things I brought up, like why didn't they march out the characters into the snow and shoot them? Yes, that would have been more logical, but it wouldn't have been cinematic, and it wouldn't have been memorable.
Yes.
And he creates visuals that you remember, and emotions that you remember, the way you feel in a theater when you see these things happen. And it was interesting too, because people don't know how to respond to some of the material.
Oh yeah, there's always a mix of gasps and laughs.
Gasps, like Jennifer Jason Leigh gets boom right in the face. I heard someone laugh, someone gasp.
Right.
And it's like, oh,
and then
laughed at violence against women.
Exactly.
And then it's like.
And then right after that, they cut to a close-up of her, and she looks up, and like blood's trickling down her face. And it's like, that's not funny.
Right.
Like that constant like tugging of emotions.
Yes, and then everyone laughs hysterically when the Mexican gets his head blown off, and then you're like, whoa.
Why am I laughing at this?
Yeah.
You think I'm in cahoots with that fella or her? That's my problem, boy. I don't know.
One of them fellas will kill everybody in here.
Now we're talking. Let's slow it down.
Well, Jay, I know your answer. Yes. I would also recommend it, of course, with the foreknowledge of, at the 2-hour mark, sit back, get out your barf bag, and just fasten your seatbelt.
Special accommodations to Jennifer Jason Leigh and Ennio Morricone, who did the score. Well, those are two of my favorite aspects of the movie.
And to filming in actual snow. and to no blue screens or green screens.
Yes, you could see everybody's breath constantly, and I'm assuming that was a set, but you could still see their breath.
They had the set, the temperature set to 32 degrees.
Okay,
set.
it's like what they did with The Exorcist. That's great.
Right.
Okay.
So you could get real breath. Great, love it.
Yes. Oh, one thing we got to mention. Tarantino needs to stop with the spotlights. Stop with the goddamn spotlights. These unmotivated, pointless spotlights that shine onto tables or parts of the floor. He always does that, and he needs to stop.
Why?
Stop it, Tarantino. I'm telling you how to do your job.
Jay knows better than you.
It's a minor nitpick, but it's something that I notice, where I'm like, where is that light supposed to be coming from? It's the middle of the night in a cabin that has no electricity. Where was the light coming from?
He used the same DP as the guy who did the film about the sex abuse scandal in the Catholic Church with Mark Ruffalo and Michael Keaton.
I don't know what that means.
No one said this job's supposed to be easy.
Nobody said it's supposed to be that hard, neither.
And I'm shutting your butt down.
So we also saw, kind of, The Ridiculous Six. Kind of.
I watched it all but the last 32 minutes. I had to watch it in like 16 viewings.
Okay.
The first 3 minutes felt like a half an hour. Literally. 3 minutes. I remember pausing it. I was like, I felt like I've been watching this for 10 minutes.
Well, why, if this was such a painful experience, Mike, why did we even try to watch it?
Well,
What was our goal?
Well, clearly, Hateful Eight and Ridiculous Six are both plays on the Western Magnificent Seven. And we wanted to do a little compare and contrasting of the two films. I guess it's an apples and oranges thing, but why not?
Well, they're both Westerns.
They're both people in them.
They're both in color.
Yeah.
I guess that's it. They're both a star-studded cast.
Yes.
Star-studded affair in both films.
I was surprised at how many reputable cameos there were in Ridiculous Six. And then I said, oh, well, everybody likes a check.
That's right! Yeah! I swear a man can't ride 5 miles in this territory without running into outlaws and Indians. Apparently there's some new gang out there robbing everybody blind.
Steve Buscemi's greatest performance when he's shoving ointment up the asshole of a donkey.
Oh, no.
You know,
was that before or after the donkey had explosive diarrhea all over the barn?
After.
Okay. Was it before or after he had explosive diarrhea all over Chris Parnell?
It was after.
Okay.
After. Do you see the scene where they go to the doctor?
I think I didn't watch the movie. I skimmed through it, so I saw certain scenes.
Hey, you're gonna discuss a movie you didn't watch, Jay.
Well, here's the thing. Adam Sandler, he's out of theaters now. He's direct to Netflix. He's not my problem anymore.
In unrelated news, Netflix stock is down 600%.
I did some comparisons between this and The Hateful Eight. Because The Hateful Eight, shot on glorious film, 65 millimeter, 70 millimeter, whatever. A gorgeous looking movie shot in rough locations.
65 millimeter image size. The rest is the audio track.
Whatever.
I think that the negative 65, and then because sound is separately recorded, and I think the final film print is 70.
Okay.
The what do they call it? An optical soundtrack, right? The optical audio reader.
Sure.
It's like a little thing that the audio track runs through.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do that anymore, or if that's how this was presented. Sorry. Back to bashing Adam Sandler.
Yes.
Nutsack.
Well, this was the shocking part when I discovered this. The budget for Hateful Eight, beautiful film, great cast, good quality movie shot on outdated, expensive technology. Budget was only $44 million, which I would have expected it to be more than that.
Is Tarantino known for doing lots of takes?
That I don't know.
Okay, I was
I'm
curious.
assuming he does enough.
Isn't Woody Allen like he just does one take, and if he wants another take, he'll do it like 6 months later?
He's very like assembly line as far as the way he goes. I know Tarantino is not like a Kubrick where he does like 1,000 takes of somebody picking up the phone, but $44 million. The budget for Ridiculous 6, a direct-to-Netflix movie, was $60 million. So $20 million less than Jack and Jill. That seemed to be the template for all of Adam Sandler's theatrical movies. They're all right around 80 million. So this one's 60 million, but it looks like a TV show. It has all these has-been 90s SNL actors in it. I mean, I guess there's someone like, I don't know what the going rate for Terry Crews is, but...
I want to know what the going rate for Harvey Keitel is, because I thought he was dead.
Harvey Keitel, who has been in Tarantino movies, but now he's in the Ridiculous 6.
They had to call in the wolf.
Yeah.
Who are you people?
We are the Starkburn brothers.
Don't forget about numero 6!
Oh, he gets decapitated, and doesn't his head fly off in this movie? By Jorge Garcia, is that right? Someone cuts his head off.
Well, Rob Schneider does. Rob Schneider's playing the Mexican. Okay, so this is a cast of has-beens, and it costs $60 million to make, and $59 million went to paying David Spade's boat off. it was like, but you know what? Hey, they had costumes. They filmed in
real locations.
In real locations some of the time.
Yeah.
Some of the time it was clearly a little set.
Sure, but they're still.
They're outside, and they filmed in the Hollywood Old West town, wherever that is. The Back to the Future 2 town. It's all the same.
Back to the Future 3.
Hey, you know what though? If the problem I had with the film was that it was fucking boring.
Yeah, it's not funny at all.
If a donkey sprayed diarrhea out constantly, I would love the film. I would.
So your problem is that there wasn't enough donkey diarrhea.
There was like a couple of gags. One which I thought was actually kind of brilliant. But there's I don't know if you saw the Steve Buscemi scene.
Where he's just has ointment for everything.
He has ointment for everything, and he's
the same ointment, and he uses it for everything.
He's rubbing it on the lost guy's ball sack, and then he puts it in Taylor Lautner's mouth.
Yeah.
And then he
well, he does that after the donkey, right?
Yes, he does them in a disgusting order. It's first the donkey. Oh no, first the guy's crotch, then the donkey's asshole, and then his mouth. And then, no. Then he uses it as...
It's important that you get the order right.
He uses it as shaving cream for Rob Schneider, and then the kid's mouth, and then...
No, the mouth is last. You have to have the mouth after the donkey's asshole.
Well, actually, technically last, he offers it as lip balm to Adam Sandler.
Oh, okay.
And Adam Sandler's above that kind of shit. So he does it himself. And then you get to watch a wonderful, wonderful actor rub donkey anus covered ointment all over his mouth and kind of go.
Yeah.
He has that like half smile where he knows what he's doing, but he wants that check. But yeah, Adam Sandler in this, like, he just looks so tired and old, and
it's a continuation of what we were seeing with Pixels, where he looks visibly miserable.
Right, where he's just like, he's doing his best space cop impression.
Yeah, he just mumbles. I wanted to mention Nick Nolte too. I think the budget went to resurrecting him, resurrecting his corpse.
I couldn't understand the
I can't fucking understand a word. So you have Adam Sandler who's... Yeah, you have Adam Sandler mumbling, and then him sounding like rocks. Like if rocks were a person, this is what they would sound like.
If a pile of rocks could talk, it would sound like Nick Nolte.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. The scene where they're talking, Nick Nolte doesn't give a fuck. Adam Sandler is mumbling, he doesn't give a fuck. And it's like 30 minutes long. And that's when I paused it, and I was at the 3-minute mark.
Yeah.
Like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And then,
half the lawmen in the West are already looking for us.
You know which way them there ridiculous 6 rode off to?
This is gonna be so much fun.
No.
If Frank Stockburn is your father, raise your hand.
there's a wonderful, wonderful little sequence where for no reason they run into Abner Doubleday.
John Turturro.
John Turturro. Abner Doubleday is the guy who invented baseball.
Yeah.
And he's trying to teach baseball to a bunch of like Chinese people, probably building the railroad. And they had a lot of Chinese building the railroad. and he's trying to teach him baseball.
And the joke is that he keeps changing the rules to benefit him. And
yes.
It's funny that baseball has all these weird rules.
Right. He's like 2 strikes and I'm out. And then, he's like, he wants a 3rd try. And he's like, I said 3.
Yeah.
And it's funny. He doesn't feel like getting the ball after the lost guy hits a home run. So he's like, I don't feel like getting that. Just go around the bases. It's a home run.
Yeah. It's a clever little sequence, which is why I'm wondering how it ended up in this movie. And it's also completely disconnected from everything else.
Yeah.
It's like 15 minutes. It just goes on, and it's just this kind of funny little sequence that doesn't connect to anything.
They just ask him then flat out, where's our dad? Oh, he's over there. I'll tell him, but you have to play this baseball game.
Yeah.
If I were to guess, I would think that was a bit somebody, the writer or somebody else, thought of on their completely disconnected from this movie. And
Sure.
Wouldn't it be funny if you ran into Abner Doubleday and he's trying to do the first baseball game and the bit is, and some wonderful little thing got put into this movie.
Yeah.
Because nothing else is clever like that.
How would Netflix recoup a $60 million budget? I don't know how their system works. I know their shows, they found it's an average of $3 to $4 million per episode of something like Orange is the New Black or House of Cards. But those are classy shows that people like. And this is dumb donkey diarrhea movie.
3 to 4 million is their production budget
per episode.
Per episode?
Yeah. That's what I found. I don't know. I know it varies depending on the show, but I saw that number a couple times.
I don't quite know how Netflix makes its money.
Maybe they needed to write something off on their taxes.
We need a tax write-off, quick.
Get us an Adam Sandler film.
It's like the fucking producers. We need a scam. We need to make a fake movie so that we lose money.
Oh, that's another thing I looked up. I have to double check my facts here to make sure I get the numbers right. Hateful Eight's Rotten Tomatoes score, 75%.
Okay.
Ridiculous Six's Rotten Tomatoes score, 0. I wanted to make sure I got that number correct.
I was at least hoping for 6,
Someone must have thought this was a good idea, though. Because, why else would you put in the effort to make it a Western and do, actual, period costumes? It's not like a Jack and Jill, where it's he plays himself and his sister.
And the whole movie's filmed in his house.
And the whole movie's filmed on a soundstage. This one, it does have a little bit of effort put into it. Did he just think this was a good idea?
I don't know. I can't. He's more mysterious than George Lucas.
It's true.
Where it's you don't know if there's people around him that go, here, Adam, here's the next idea. And he goes, all right, that's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Or if he's if he just appears disinterested on screen and maybe behind the scenes he is and he's sitting there laughing and they're having a good time making this.
That's so funny.
Clearly there's a dip in quality level and effort. But my guess is that since this was the first of hopefully not many Netflix movies.
He made a 4-picture deal.
4 pictures? Okay. Well, maybe since it's the first, they wanted to make it appear like they were going to try. Or that it had some kind of effort.
It feels more like a movie that should be in theaters than Jack and Jill did.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. But the next one will be, Island Resort Adventure.
Yeah.
Comfortable shooting location film.
Adam Sandler's Bed, the movie.
We're going to Tahiti.
Adam Sandler's in a coma. And it's just him sleeping for the whole movie.
He's in a coma in a hospital in Hawaii.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And all of his friends have to come out visit him because they think he might die. And so they have to go to the beach and hang out, and they get in wacky adventures.
And he's always just in the background sleeping.
Yeah.
He's in a hammock sometimes.
And then in the end, he wakes up. And then he goes, you guys are my best friends. And then it ends.
Okay. We just wrote an Adam Sandler movie.
I like that.
I can't wait.
Do you think Adam Sandler cries himself to sleep every night on a pile of giant money?
I think all that happens except for the crying himself to sleep part.
Do you think he uses $100 bills as kindling in a fire?
I think he uses $100 bills. He shoves them up donkeys' asses and then rubs them on Steve Buscemi's lips. That's basically what's happening metaphorically in The Ridiculous Six.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Oh my God, the window broke. Snow's coming in.
Oh, shit. Jay, we need to figure out a way to get this house off the mountain right now.
Yeah, or we're gonna freeze to death.
Oh, yeah, that too. I was referring to the fact that we're out of beer.
Oh, I get it.
That was a joke.
You know, if you freeze to death, you can't drink any beer.
Well, then I guess you're just going to have to pour it down my cold, dead throat.
Who are you, the alcoholic Charlton Heston?
Drinks a ton hefty.
Ben, hurry up and get me more booze.
I'm so fat, if I was Charlton Heston, I'd star in the 10 Condiments.
Are we done?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good.
Don't forget to shut the mic off.